Good evening from the KW Media Newsroom. I'm Keenan Williams with a focus on news which socially impacts society. The DA is not a racist party, but there are racist individuals within the organisation. This is the view of suspended Western Cape Transport MEC Bongin Kosimadikazela, who broke his silence at a media briefing yesterday. He was responding to calls for him to be fired as MEC, and he has since apologised for lying on his CV for having a BCom degree. At the same time, clinical psychologist Konrad van Staden says that racism isn't inherent, but racial construct is created psychologically because of insecurity and us not wanting to accept the otherness in people.
I think that the way that we're going to heal racism is not by only looking at the other and accepting them, but it's primarily a factor of looking at ourselves and accepting ourselves, accepting our own weakness, accepting the difference and the fear that we carry in ourselves.
Van Staden further says that humans are social beings who want to connect and form attachments with people. He says that people are not primed to be racist.
There's an underlying connection that we form with everyone. And I think racism in itself is not an inherent construct. However, I do think we are primed to at more primitive levels, protect ourselves. When there's a threat to us, then we want to protect. And we are primed to see difference. We are primed to see otherness when we go into a protective mode. When we are primed when there's a scarcity of resources, or we're in a psychologically poor state, I think we are primed to protect ourselves. And then what we do is we often, because of social situations and people using social constructs, we often see the otherness, and we are primed to see difference, so that we know how to protect ourselves from difference.
Van Staden also believes that Nelson Mandela showed the perfect example of healing beyond racism and racial tension. The late South African president once said, and I quote, "No one is born hating another person because of the color of his skin or his background or his religion. People must learn to hate, and if they can learn to hate, they can be taught to love. For love comes more naturally to the human heart than its opposite." Close quote. Van Staden says that Mandela wanted people to be empathetic beings and not create an identity of us and them.
He doesn't want people to see and feel further a sense of otherness, that they themselves have been put to the outside of the group, so to speak. He wanted to see how we incorporate and people get to accept themselves and accept the other. And by accepting the other, or accepting parts of ourselves, we do the opposite as well. If I accept myself, if I accept my own differences, if I get to look at my own sense of guilt or shame or weakness, then that what I project onto the other, I will be able to accept in myself.